Gadget God here. I do the research, so you don't have to. And here we go again, Nintendo. Another crazy product, trying to find it but can't situation. This is the Super Nintendo Entertainment System Classic Edition. It's actually a crazy name. It's called the Super Nintendo Entertainment System Classic Edition. Not the SNES Mini, not the SNES Classic Edition. It's the full name, which makes sense if you're old school, but if you're new school, we like it quick, we like it dirty. So this is the ultimate mini micro console if you're a Super Nintendo fan. This does have 21 games on it, and this is impossible to find. It retails for $80, comes with 2 controllers, and the never released Star Fox 2. It's very cool. I'm really happy that Nintendo did something totally original and released an unreleased old game. I mean, it's not the 90s anymore. Why are they coming out with new Super Nintendo games? I love it. It's crazy. So as I said, these are impossible to find, and I actually had to wait outside of GameStop before they opened on the day that the Super Nintendo Mini was released. Now, Nintendo has officially said that for the Super Nintendo Classic Edition, on launch day, they had as many Super Nintendo Classic Editions as they had in total for the original Nintendo Classic Edition. So this will be easier to get, but that does not mean you can walk into stores and pick this thing up. In fact, I was not able to pre-order this. I usually am very good about pre-ordering scarce electronics and goodies before they're ever released, but I was not able to pre-order the Super Nintendo Mini. So I did wait outside of GameStop before they opened. Now there is a GameStop, a Best Buy, and a Walmart in my area, so I knew that I had a 1 in 3 chance of actually picking one of these up on launch day. And I went to GameStop before they opened because I knew GameStop always gets the most stock, especially if Nintendo products, some sort of deal with the devil there, but Nintendo gets the most. So I waited outside of GameStop. I got there at about 9:45. They opened at 10, and I was the 14th in line, and they had 20. And that was on launch day, so that's probably when the amount of stock they have will be the highest. And GameStop did say that that 20 also included pre-orders, so it doesn't mean there were 20 for people to get, but there were 20 in total, including people who pre-ordered in store. So there were about maybe 10 available for people who waited in line. So I did get one day one, and then afterwards I swept over to Best Buy and they said we're totally out of stock. I swept over to Walmart and they said we were out of stock at 8 a.m. So this is just as difficult to get as the NES Classic Edition was. Now, is this something that you should buy? Well, I would say wait, be patient, don't pay eBay scalper prices, but wait until there is a restock, because as I said, Nintendo had as many Super Nintendo Classics on launch day as they made in total for the NES Classic Edition. So this is way easier to get, and it does come with a controller included, where with the NES Classic Edition you had to buy one controller separately for $10, and that was impossible, literally impossible to get. So is this worth it? It does retail for $80, and I think the value is absolutely there. Now, Nintendo sells these for $8 Super Nintendo games on their Virtual Console. 8 times 10 is $80, so you could get 10 of these games for $80, but no, Nintendo actually included 21. In fact, these are 21 of arguably the best Super Nintendo games ever made. In fact, I think there's some really surprising games in there, not even counting the unheard of Star Fox 2. I really can't believe they included that. That's like Nintendo being cool now. They've always been cool, but they've been a little stingy with their products. That's them, like, that's fan service. I think that's very, very cool. But you can see the list of games here, and I'll just go ahead and give you a brief description of all of them. Man, I love the way these boxes look. You know how I am with boxes. N64 collection, check out my other videos. Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis. I love that retro. Give me some of that retro love. But we have Contra 3, which is a great game. It's also a very expensive game if you were to buy it on eBay for the Super Nintendo. One of the better Contra games for sure, but it's still very difficult like all Contra games are. Then we have Donkey Kong Country, a phenomenal game. That's the game that really pushed the pre-rendered graphics, and it's really a fun game. There are 3 of them for the Super Nintendo, so Donkey Kong Country, really happy they put that on there. Earthbound, that's the game that everybody knows about, but nobody actually owns physically, so a super long game. This alone, you'll get your money's worth because it's such a long game, it's such a great game. Final Fantasy 3, you probably had that when you were a kid. There's the box art. That, again, is a game that has tons and tons of depth. You can play that forever. F-Zero showed off that Mode 7 graphics with the steering, where you could actually rotate the course while you're driving, so that has some great graphics and a really fun game. Pretty difficult, but still a great game. Kirby's Dream Course, that's like a golf game. I'm trying to match it up with the box art down below. There's Kirby's Dream Course. It's like a golf game, really fun. Kirby's Superstar, phenomenal Kirby game. I actually have that physically on the Super Nintendo cart. Definitely a great Super Nintendo game, especially if you like Kirby. Mega Man X, one of the best Mega Man games. That was the first one on the Super Nintendo. Really, really great. Secret of Mana, another awesome RPG, very long. They really hit home runs with every single one of these games here. Is there a game that you think should have been on the Super Nintendo Classic but isn't? Put down in the comments what games you think are missing. Star Fox, that's absolutely a pioneer in 3D graphics for the 16-bit era. Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo Hyper Fighting. I'm glad that they put the Turbo Hyper Fighting Edition on there, not just the vanilla Street Fighter 2, because this is the better version. Super Castlevania 4, one of the best Castlevania games and one of the best Super Nintendo games. Really great that that's on there. Super Ghouls and Ghosts, I feel like that's would be silly if they didn't put it on there because it's just such a popular game. People know about it from the Angry Video Game Nerd. So that's more like a fan service game than that being a really great game that a lot of people are going to get very far in. Super Mario Kart, obviously no brainer. On the Nintendo 64 Classic Edition, you know they're going to have Mario Kart 64, so obviously they're going to have Super Mario Kart. Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars. Now that is actually one of my favorite games of all time. Where's the cover? There it is. I really like that game. That was one of the early Super Nintendo games that I actually sat down and put a lot of time into. Really a great game. That game alone is going to be worth it just because there's so much value here. We also have Super Mario World, another game that's really just one of the best games ever made. So the fact that it's on here is just amazing. Super Metroid, I could say the exact same thing about Super Metroid that I just said about Super Mario World. One of the best games ever made. Amazing that it's on here. Super Punch-Out, another amazing game. Every game is amazing. Oh my gosh, they're all so amazing. If only this was easier to get, if you really wanted it that bad. I wanted this so bad that I did wait outside to get one because I was not able to pre-order. And then we have The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past. It's just, this is a home run, one of the best Zelda games ever made. And then Yoshi's Island, that's Super Mario World 2. Of course they have to put on there. And then, man, Star Fox 2, I can't believe they did it. This game was actually finished back in the day, but they didn't release it because they were about to come out with the Nintendo 64 and they were about to come out with Star Fox 64, and they didn't want this game looking old or confusing people. Which Star Fox do I get? So they just canceled this game altogether, but it was done and now we have it. Now it's here. So what do you guys think of the Super Nintendo Classic Edition? Were you able to pick one up? And if so, how'd you do it? Were you just super lucky when you pre-ordered? I even tried to pre-order this, and while trying to add it to my cart, I was able to add it to my cart online and then checking out, error, it's no longer available, error. So I always have a lot of luck with pre-ordering these the second they go live online, but I could not get this. So I did wait outside to get it, and I'm super happy. Oh my goodness. Now I just want the Nintendo 64 Classic Edition. I want that even more, but I definitely think it is worth it for $80. Don't pay the inflated eBay price. Be patient. Maybe have a friend help you get one or something like that. But wait and get it for $80. And Nintendo did say that they will continue making this into 2018. They were only going to make this until the end of 2017, but Nintendo said officially, we know that there's a lot of demand. We will continue producing these into 2018. So you will be able to get one. Probably not at Christmas time. Get it before or after, because this is really sought after. Sells for like over double the price on eBay if you want to get one. But Nintendo is also extending the production of the NES, the original Nintendo Classic Edition, and they're starting that again in the summer of 2018. So you will be able to get these. It is a super tiny console. This thing is literally microscopic. It fits in the palm of your hand. If you have big hands, and it fits on 2-3 fingers. And it looks like they have Super Nintendo controller ports there. That actually folds down, and the Super Nintendo controllers have Wii connectors, those Wii remote plugs. So it's the same as the NES Classic Edition plugs, and these are backwards compatible with the NES Classic Edition. So you could plug one of these into your NES Classic Edition and play 2-player. So that is really cool that Nintendo let these be backwards compatible. Another big thing is that they made the length of the controller cables 6 feet instead of 3 feet. On the NES Classic Edition, they were only 3 feet long, and everybody hated that because we all have big screen TVs nowadays. So they doubled the length with these. It is now 6 feet. So I'm really happy they did that. And also, these controllers are actually like perfect Super Nintendo controllers. Nintendo made them. They have the original molds, and they made these exactly like the Super Nintendo controllers from the original Super Nintendo back in the day. So let me know what games you think should be on here that didn't make it. I don't think there's that many. There are certainly a couple, but I want to know what you guys think are missing from the Super Nintendo Classic Edition. Let me know in the comments down below. I will put a link to the Amazon page if you guys are interested in picking this up. And let me know if you have any questions or comments. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Click subscribe to join the Gadget God Squad. And if you didn't know already, I'm the Gadget God. I do the research, so you don't have to. Thanks for watching, everybody. Now you're playing with superpower today.